My name is Alex. I am 30 years old, and until recently, I was the kind of guy who would bend over backward for family, even when it hurt. I grew up in a house where love had strings attached and loyalty was expected without ever being returned. My sister, Yulia, always stole the spotlight. And my parents, well, they treated her like the sun and the rest of us like shadows. I was never the golden child. I was the fallback plan, the emergency fund, the invisible backbone. That was a post I read online a few years ago. I stared at those words on my screen, my chest tight, reading my exact life written by a total stranger. But my name is not Alex. My name is Morgan, and my sister, Vanessa, took a lot more than just the spotlight. I sat alone at a long cedar table inside a rented cabin in Sedona. A birthday cake sat in the center. The icing was melting. The ice in the champagne bucket had turned to lukewarm water. My phone rested next to my plate. The screen completely dark. No message. No missed calls. I was 30 today, and my family had completely abandoned me. The silence in that cabin was deafening. I stared at the untouched plates of food, the carefully folded napkins, the welcome gifts I had arranged for my parents and my sister. I swallowed the hard lump in my throat and forced myself to breathe. For years, I believed I was holding this family together. I was the successful caterer, the responsible daughter, the one who fixed the messes. Every single month for the past 4 years, I logged into my bank account and quietly transferred $2,500 to cover my parents' mortgage. They never asked me how my business was doing. They just expected the transfer to clear by the first of the month. And then there was Vanessa, my older sister, the aspiring lifestyle influencer whose boutique was constantly hovering on the edge of bankruptcy. Just last year, I drained my personal savings to cover a massive bounced check she wrote to a supplier so she would not get sued for fraud. I defended her to everyone. I told my friends that family supports family. I handed her a corporate credit card from my catering business, strictly for medical emergencies, because she claimed her anxiety was acting up and she had no health insurance. I gave them my money, my time, and my peace of mind. I thought my sacrifices were building a foundation of love. Sitting in that empty cabin, the truth slammed into me. I had not been building a family. I had been funding a transactional illusion where their love was entirely dependent on my utility. I picked up my phone. I opened Instagram. The algorithm, in its cruel efficiency, had placed Vanessa's latest post right at the top of my feed. There she was, Vanessa, wearing a designer swimsuit, holding a crystal flute of champagne. Behind her, lounging in a private cabana, were my parents, Catherine and Trevor. They were smiling. They were laughing. The location tag read at a 5-star luxury spa resort on the exact opposite side of Sedona. The caption sat right below the photo, burning into my vision. Finally, a vacation without the family buzzkill dragging us down. Real family knows how to live. My lungs stopped working. They were not lost. They had not gotten a flat tire. They had actively hijacked the trip I planned, mocked me on a public platform, and left me alone in the woods on my milestone birthday. Vanessa's boutique was currently facing eviction. I knew she was desperate for a brand sponsorship to save her collapsing facade. She needed high-end lifestyle photos to pitch herself to sponsors. She sacrificed my sanity, my birthday, and my dignity to stage a fake life for strangers on the internet. A cold, sharp clarity replaced the pain in my chest. My catering business instincts kicked in. If they were at a 5-star resort, someone had to be paying for it. I opened my corporate banking portal. I scrolled past my vendor payments and catering deposits. There it was. A pending charge for $15,000 at that exact luxury resort. Vanessa had used my emergency corporate card. She was mocking me online while drinking champagne bought with my hard-earned money. I did not throw the phone. I did not call my mother to beg for an explanation. I sat perfectly still at the head of that empty table and went to work. I logged deeper into the banking portal. I navigated to the authorized user controls. I could have simply canceled the card, but the hotel might have just kept the existing pre-authorization hold, leaving me on the hook for the final bill. Instead, I clicked on the credit limit settings. I slashed the spending limit on Vanessa's card to exactly $1 below the current pending balance. Then, I locked the card entirely. Next, I opened my email. I searched for the commercial landlord who owned the building where Vanessa leased her boutique. 2 years ago, I signed as the personal guarantor so she could secure the space. I drafted a short, formal email legally withdrawing my status as her lease guarantor. Effective immediately. Citing a fundamental breach of trust, I attached the original contract clauses. Hit send, and closed the laptop. The trap was set. Now, all I had to do was wait for checkout time. Sunday morning arrived. I was back home, standing in my commercial kitchen, prepping ingredients for a massive corporate luncheon. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Vanessa, then a call from my mother, then another call from Vanessa. The barrage of panic had officially begun. I wiped my hands on my apron, stepped into my quiet back office, and answered the fourth call. Vanessa was hyperventilating on the other end of the line. The background noise was unmistakable. The hushed, elegant murmurs of a luxury hotel lobby. I pictured her standing at the marble concierge desk, surrounded by the wealthy peers she was so desperate to impress. "The manager is holding our luggage," Vanessa hissed, her voice trembling with barely contained rage. The card declined. "They are threatening to call the police for theft of services if I do not provide a new payment method right now." "Unlock the card." "Morgan, stop being so dramatic. You can yell at me later. Just fix this." Her fake influencer facade was shattering in real time in front of an audience. She still thought she could order me around. She still thought she was the main character. "You wanted a vacation without the buzzkill," I said, keeping my voice entirely flat, entirely empty. "Now you get to pay for it without her." "2. Morgan. Please." My mother's voice echoed in the background, shrill and terrified. "We do not have this kind of money in our checking accounts. You are embarrassing us." I ended the call. I blocked their numbers for the next 48 hours. I left them completely stranded in the desert, forced to face the humiliation and the financial ruin they created for themselves. 1 month passed. The fallout was swift and brutal. Without my $2,500 monthly transfers, my parents immediately fell behind on their mortgage. The bank initiated pre-foreclosure proceedings. Without my lease guarantee, Vanessa's commercial landlord demanded a massive cash deposit she did not have. Her boutique was on the verge of being locked up. I focused on my business. I slept through the night. I thought the war was over. I underestimated their desperation. It was exactly 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, the busiest time in my catering kitchen. The front door chimed, and Vanessa walked in. She looked awful. Her designer clothes were wrinkled, and her makeup was smudged. She held a manila folder tightly against her chest. She burst into tears the second she saw me, launching into a rehearsed, dramatic apology. She claimed she was so sorry, that the pressure of her business made her crazy, that she found a new private investor to save her boutique, and she just wanted her sister back. She took a step closer to me, wiping her eyes, positioning herself directly between me and the front glass door. My daily FedEx delivery truck pulled up to the curb outside. Vanessa's eyes darted toward the truck. Her tears stopped falling. Her posture stiffened. She was attempting to physically block me from reaching the door to sign for the packages. She was trying to intercept the mail. A notification chimed on my phone, loud and sharp in the quiet kitchen. It was an alert from my premium credit monitoring service. A new unsecured line of credit for $35,000 had just been opened using my social security number. The pieces snapped together. Vanessa did not come here to apologize. She came here because the bank expedited the welcome packet and the physical credit card to my registered business address. She timed her fake emotional breakdown for exactly 10 o'clock to intercept the mail and cover her tracks. She had stolen my identity. I looked at the folder clutched in her hands. I looked at the delivery driver walking up the sidewalk. "You found a new private investor for your boutique," I said, repeating her words back to her. "Yes," Vanessa said quickly, her eyes fixed on the door handle. "A private backer. It is going to save the store. We just need to sign for this package." "Morgan, I can grab it for you." I reached out, grabbed her by the shoulder, and shoved her firmly out of the way. I opened the door, signed the scanner, and took the heavy cardboard envelope from the driver. I ripped it open right there in the entryway. Inside was a sleek black credit card with my name on it, and a welcome letter detailing the $35,000 limit. Vanessa backed away, her face draining of all color. "You actually thought I was stupid," I said. "Morgan, listen to me," Vanessa stammered, raising her hands. "I was going to pay it back. The boutique just needs inventory. I pre-ordered $20,000 of luxury garments this morning, using the digital account number. Once they sell, I can pay off this card, and you will never even know." I smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who had finally run out of mercy. I pointed up to the corner of the ceiling. A high-definition commercial security camera was blinking with a solid red recording light, capturing every single word of her confession. "I know about the $20,000 inventory order," I said softly. Because the account was opened under my social security number, when the credit alert popped up on my phone an hour ago, I simply called the bank's fraud department. I verified my own identity. I reset the portal password, and I logged in. Vanessa's breath hitched. Her eyes widened in pure terror. "I saw the pending freight delivery you purchased with my stolen credit," I continued, stepping closer to her. I clicked on the shipping details. I updated the delivery address to my own catering warehouse. "The distributor dispatched the trucks 20 minutes ago. I did not steal your inventory. Vanessa, I legally secured property purchased in my own name. You have zero inventory, a maxed-out fraudulent debt, and a bankrupt store. You cannot do that," Vanessa screamed, lunging forward. "That is my business. You are destroying my life." The door to my back office opened. A lead detective in a sharp suit stepped out into the kitchen, holding a notepad. I had called him the second the credit alert hit my phone. I had printed the IP address logs, the transaction history, and the fraud packet while Vanessa was driving over here. Vanessa froze. The scream died in her throat. "Morgan Bennett," the detective said, nodding to me. "Is this the individual who opened the fraudulent accounts?" "Yes," I said. The detective stepped forward, grabbing Vanessa's wrists and spinning her around. The sharp, metallic click of handcuffs echoed off the stainless steel counters. Vanessa thrashed, sobbing wildly, begging me to tell him it was a misunderstanding. I stood perfectly still, watching her fake empire crumble to dust. As the detective marched her out the front doors, Vanessa screamed toward the parking lot. "Mom, Dad, help me." I walked to the glass storefront and looked outside. Parked by the curb was my father's old sedan. Catherine and Trevor were sitting in the front seats. They had driven her here. They were too cowardly to face me themselves. Waiting in the car while their golden child tried to rob me blind, Catherine rolled down the passenger window. She stared in absolute horror as the detective pushed her favorite daughter toward the police cruiser. I stepped out onto the sidewalk. I held up the bank fraud packet, I locked eyes with my mother, and I mouthed 2 words. I am done. Catherine's hand trembled. She slowly rolled the window up. Trevor threw the car into drive and sped away, leaving black tire marks on the asphalt. They abandoned Vanessa in a police parking lot to save themselves from being implicated. The transactional illusion was dead. The ties were permanently severed. The judge sentenced Vanessa to 6 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 4 years. The court also ordered restitution of $35,000. Though it would take a miracle for her to ever pay it back, the local newspaper ran a small piece on the boutique owner's fraud conviction. The community gossiped. The church group my parents attended quietly asked them to step down from the leadership board due to the scandal. My parents lost their house to foreclosure 3 months later. They moved into a tiny, cramped apartment in a neighboring state, too ashamed to show their faces in our hometown. 4 months into her sentence, Vanessa used her phone privileges to leave a voicemail on my business line. I sat in my quiet office, listening to the static on the recording. Morgan, please. Her voice crackled over the speaker. I am still your sister. Mom and Dad are not speaking to me. I have nothing. I did it because I was drowning. You have to forgive me. Family is supposed to forgive. I did not feel a surge of anger. I did not feel the need to scream or justify myself. I felt absolutely nothing. I pressed the delete button. The automated voice confirmed the message was erased. I dropped the phone on my desk and went back to reviewing my catering contracts. I had moved on. My business expanded. I hired 3 new chefs. I started hosting weekly dinners at my house for my chosen family. Friends who showed up early to help me chop vegetables. Mentors who checked in on my mental health without asking for a loan. Partners who respected my boundaries. My home was filled with loud, genuine laughter, the clinking of glasses, and an overwhelming sense of peace. The heavy, suffocating weight I had carried on my shoulders for 30 years was completely gone. I learned a lot of hard truths in that cabin in Sedona, and even harder ones in the courtroom. We are conditioned from birth to believe that the people who share our DNA are entitled to our endless grace. We are told to keep the peace, to turn the other cheek, to light ourselves on fire just to keep our relatives warm. But toxic families do not appreciate the warmth. They just complain about the smoke. If you are the responsible child, the invisible backbone, the one everyone relies on but nobody checks on, you need to understand the psychology of the people draining you. Narcissism operates on a currency of guilt. They convince you that your boundaries are selfish, so they can continue to exploit your resources. I had to build my own survival guide to escape. And it comes down to 3 absolute rules. Rule number 1. Blood does not make you family. Respect does. Sharing a last name is a biological accident. It is not a binding contract for perpetual abuse. If a stranger treated you the way your family treats you, you would have cut them off years ago. You do not owe anyone your sanity just because you happen to share the same genetic code. True family is built on mutual respect, protection, and unconditional support. If those elements are missing, you are not a family. You are a hostage situation. Rule number 2. You cannot buy loyalty. I spent years paying my parents' mortgage and bailing out my sister's business, secretly hoping that if I just proved how useful I was, they would finally love me. But financial bailouts do not breed love. They breed entitlement. When you consistently rescue people from the consequences of their own terrible choices, they do not see you as a savior. They see you as a utility. And the moment the utility stops working, they will discard you. You cannot purchase emotional connection with a bank transfer. Rule number 3. The loudest silence is a closed door. You will never win an argument with people who are fiercely committed to misunderstanding you. They will twist your words, play the victim, and recruit other people to their side of the story. Do not explain yourself. Do not write the long, emotional letter. Do not scream in the driveway. Just stop paying. Stop calling. Stop fixing their messes. Walk away in total silence. Removing your presence entirely is the ultimate power move because it deprives them of the one thing they crave most. Your reaction. Look closely at the people you are carrying right now. The ones sitting on your shoulders, weighing you down, demanding that you walk faster. If you stopped walking today, who would stay by your side to help you rest? And who would just complain that the free ride stopped? You are allowed to put the burden down. You are allowed to walk away from the people who hurt you. Even if you share a last name, trust is earned, not owed. Drop the dead weight. Reclaim your life. And tell me in the comments down below, what was the exact moment you finally decided to put yourself down?